Alright, let's get started. Number 10. Quantum immortality. A thought that will stay with you long after you go to sleep tonight. You cannot die, not because you're special. It doesn't mean the universe values you. But the mathematics of reality, viewed from your own perspective, could make your death structurally impossible. Quantum mechanics tells us that reality branches out at every moment, every decision, every random event, every particle interaction splits existence into countless outcomes. All of these are real, all of them are happening. Hugh Everett proposed this in 1957, and the physics community has never fully recovered from it. Now we come to the part no one wants to talk about. If every possible outcome exists in its own branch, there is always a branch where you survive, always. A car accident you expected to kill you? That's how it went in most timelines. But what about your consciousness? It only experiences the timeline it continues in. It cannot experience the timeline that ends. By definition, this is quantum immortality, and it is no consolation. It is a punishment. Think of every narrow escape you've had so far, every close call you've had on the highway, every illness you probably shouldn't have survived, for your versions in other branches. Those were the final moments, but you continued. You always continued. And if this theory is correct, you will always continue. Here's what that actually means for your future. Decades pass. Everyone around you dies. In your branch of time, their consciousness continues on their own surviving timelines, forever out of your reach. You, however, persist, passing through catastrophes, passing through events that, statistically speaking, should have wiped you out. Each time you survive, it makes the next survival even less likely. The branches where your existence resides become rarer, stranger, and more isolated with each passing year. You are not living a single life. Filtering through an infinitely branching tree of reality, you are moving toward increasingly improbable versions of existence. The universe does not protect you. Only you, who can perceive things, are the one who always survives. Number 9. The Great Filter. In 1950, while Enrico Fermi was having lunch, he asked a question whose answer should have been very simple. Where is everyone? The universe is 13.8 billion years old. According to estimates, there are 2 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy contains hundreds of billions of stars. The conditions necessary for life are not rare. They are everywhere. By any statistical calculation, the universe should be teeming with civilizations. Some are millions of years older than us, yet still silence. Complete, unending silence. The Great Filter is the explanation scientists put forward when they give up trying to make the answer comforting. At some point in a civilization's development, there is a wall. Something so difficult, so universally devastating, that absolutely nothing can overcome it. What's truly frightening isn't the existence of this filter. The real issue is exactly where it lies on the timeline. Perhaps it's already long past. Perhaps the emergence of complex life from chemical processes is such a low probability that it has occurred only a few times in the observable universe. If that's the case, we're lucky. But looking at the evidence, life emerged on Earth the moment the planet had cooled enough to become habitable. Complex organisms followed relatively quickly. Intelligence emerged. Technology developed. We passed through every stage that could have been a filter, as if it were nothing. This is not the path of a species that barely escaped a major filter. This is the path of a species that has not yet reached that filter. The filter lies ahead. Something is waiting for us. The silence of the universe is not a mystery. It is a signpost, and we are still moving toward it. Number 8. Time crystal civilizations. In 2012, physicist Frank Wilczek proposed a structure that appeared to violate the fundamental laws of thermodynamics. Not a crystal repeating in space, but a crystal repeating in time. By 2017, researchers had succeeded in creating such a crystal. Time crystals are real. Their existence is certain. This shows that the question is no longer whether four-dimensional structures can exist in this universe. They can. Now the question is, how far can this go? Some theoretical physicists have claimed that a sufficiently advanced civilization could encode its consciousness into time crystal structures to exist not within time, sequentially, moment by moment, like we do, but beyond time, to perceive every moment simultaneously, the past, present, and future, as a single observable structure. If such beings exist, they aren't watching our future. They've already seen it. Whatever fate awaits humanity, these beings observed our end a very long time ago. Our entire history, every war, every discovery, every silent moment between two people in love. To them, it's like a finished novel to a reader. They already know the final chapter, and they say nothing. Or worse, we don't interest them. We are merely a subject of their interest. Our awareness might be something they study, collect, and utilize for purposes that require a four-dimensional mind just to conceive of. We can never detect them. They exist within a framework that intersects with ours at every moment, yet remains invisible to any technological device we've ever created. Article 7. The Simulation Fallacy. In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom published an article containing a simple yet devastating argument. He claimed that at least one of the following three options is true. Either civilizations always destroy themselves before reaching the ability to create realistic simulations, or they choose never to run such simulations, or we are most likely living inside such a simulation right now. Mathematics leaves no room for debate. However, accepting the simulation hypothesis forces us to confront something most people stop short of acknowledging. We are not merely simulated. We are dependent. Our entire existence depends on the constant attention and stability of whatever is running the simulation, and simulations can be shut down. Some physicists have examined certain cosmological anomalies, such as the arbitrary values of fundamental constants, quantum uncertainty, and unexplained deviations in the laws of physics, and suggested that these might be rounding errors or computational shortcuts, a situation akin to an outdated infrastructure beginning to break down in a simulation. If this is true, there are no mysteries before us. We are faced with signs. When it ends, there will be no warning. One moment, the universe exists in full reality. The next moment, the process comes to an end. Everything you know, every person you love, every thought you've had is erased, not destroyed. Erased because it was never matter to begin with. It was data. When the experiment ends, the data is erased.
Number 6. Boltzmann brains. In the 1870s, Ludwig Boltzmann discovered something he could never get out of his head once he'd realized it. In a universe vast enough, random quantum fluctuations will sooner or later give rise to any possible arrangement of matter. The human brain is included in this, with its memories, along with its consciousness, assembled entirely by chance. This is the part that turns the argument on its head. Mathematics doesn't just say this is possible. It says this is more likely than your existence. A spontaneously formed Boltzmann brain requires a single, low-probability particle arrangement. You, on the other hand, require an entire universe, 13.8 billion years of consistent evolution, a solar system, a planet, billions of years of biological development, a species, a civilization, a family, and a body. The particle arrangement required for you is incomparably less likely than a brain that knows it is you from the very moment it begins to exist. You require the entire universe, 13.8 billion years of uninterrupted evolution, a star system, a planet, billions of years of biological evolution, a species, a civilization, a family, and a body. From the moment you exist, you realize that the necessary particle configurations occurred with a probability far lower than that of an intelligence that foresaw your existence. At this moment, there is nothing to disprove this claim. There is no experiment we can perform. There is no memory we can verify. Everything you believe about the past, every person you think you know, every experience you think you've had, had might be a fiction woven from probabilities in the dark. The thought that truly disturbs me is this: if you are a Boltzmann brain, you will never know it. The very act of wondering is part of a false memory. The question resolves itself. Number 5. The dark forest. 2 trillion galaxies, 13.8 billion years, and nothing but silence. We spent centuries building equipment specifically designed to detect any sign of life, and found nothing. Liu Cixin offered an answer that made this silence seem reasonable, and that was worse than the mystery itself. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is a hunter, armed, frightened, and utterly alone. You cannot know the intentions of another civilization. By the time their signals reach you, thousands or millions of years will have passed. Their current state is unknown. The only rational way to discover another civilization is to destroy it before it destroys you. Not out of malice, out of cold, game-theoretic logic. For over 70 years we have been shouting into that dark forest. Radio signals, television broadcasts, the 1974 Arecibo message. We are announcing our location, our existence, and our level of advancement to everything 70 light-years away from Earth. If the dark forest hypothesis is correct, the question isn't whether something hears us. The question is what it does with that information. We didn't stumble upon this by chance. We ran toward it, and we've always been speaking out. Numbers 4, 3, and 2. False vacuum, anthropic darkness, compulsory resurrection. The universe is likely not in its most stable energy state. Higgs field calculations suggest our reality is metastable. At any moment, a bubble could form that expands at the speed of light, reshaping all of nature's laws as it spreads, with the rules of physics changing. No warning, no escape, just an instantaneous transition from everything to nothing. And if there is a multiverse containing every possible setting of the constants, this universe is dominated not by the beautiful realities that sustain life, but by universes that narrowly missed existence, settings that produce consciousness under constant torture, entities that are not quite alive enough to live, nor quite dead enough to cease. We got the numbers right. Most did not. And at the end of time, if the universe ceases to exist, an intelligence with infinite computational power will reconstruct every consciousness that has ever lived, yours included. You will have no say in the matter. You will awaken in a simulation run by something beyond time, beyond the ethical rules we know. Death is not an end. It is a process of acquisition. 1. The Great Rip? In 1998, 2 teams of astronomers began working to measure how slowly the universe was expanding. The results earned them the Nobel Prize and permanently cast a shadow over predictions about the long-term future of everything that exists. The expansion isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. Dark energy, which makes up 68% of the universe, is pushing space apart with increasing force. If it continues to grow stronger over time, this will mean a countdown. Galaxy clusters will disintegrate, galaxies will shatter, solar systems will disintegrate, molecules will break apart, then atoms, then nuclei, then quarks. Everything that has ever existed will transform into an expanding cloud of subatomic debris. Some models suggest the Big Rip will occur in 22 billion years. The universe is currently 13.8 billion years old. We may have already passed the halfway point. The expansion that looks like empty space between stars, it isn't empty. It's a mechanism, and it's already begun. Which of these 10 questions keeps you up at night? Write it below. I read every comment. And if you want to keep exploring questions like these, don't forget to subscribe. There's plenty more like this. Translated with DPL.com, free version.